development of the embryo. How the development of the embryo takes place in the mother womb. After the fertilization, around the pregnancy that lasts around 9 months. So that is divided into 3 trimester. So first trimester, second trimester and the third trimester. And this time period, 9 months of the pregnancy, that is called as the gestation period. Okay. So in the human beings, after 1 month of pregnancy, embryo's heart is developed. So you can hear the heartbeat. So by the you can listen the heartbeat of the embryo through the stethoscope. Then by the end of the second month of the pregnancy, fetus develops limbs and digits. By the end of the 12 weeks first trimester, most of the major organ systems are formed. For example, the limbs and the external genitalia organs are well developed. See here, by the end of the second month, so you can see that the limbs and the digits are developed. By the end of the 12 weeks, 12 weeks means first trimester, that is 3 months. By the end of the third month, most of the major organ systems are formed. For example, limbs, external genitalia organs are developed, well developed by the end of the third month. Then the first movement of the fetus and the appearance of the hairs on the head usually observed during the 5th month. By the end of the 24 week, by means that is end of the second trimester, that is by the end of the 6th month, the body is covered with fine hair and eyelids separate and eyelashes are formed. So this is how the development of the baby takes place in the mother womb from the 1st month to the 9th month. By the end of the 9th month, the pregnancy, the fetus is fully developed and ready for the delivery. So this total in the 9th month, this period is called as the gestation period, and in this period the development of the embryo takes place, and by the end of the 9th month the baby is ready for the delivery. The fetus is fully developed and that is ready for the delivery. Thank you. Hello everyone, human reproduction. Let's study the subtopic parturition and the lactation. Yes, what is this parturition? The average duration of the pregnancy is about 9 months, which is called as the gestation period. And after the development of the embryo, the vigorous contraction of the uterus at the end of the pregnancy that causes the expulsion or the delivery of the fetus, and this process of the delivery of the fetus that is called as the parturition. The vigorous contraction that leads to the delivery of the baby that is called as the parturition, and the parturition is induced by the complex neuroendocrine mechanism. Why this parturition is called as complex neuroendocrine mechanism? Because the signals for parturition originate from the fully developed fetus and the placenta, which induce the mild uterine contraction and called fetal ejection reflex. So here, when the baby is fully developed, that and the placenta which induce the mild uterine contraction, that start the mild uterine contraction, and that is called as fetal ejection reflex. So this triggers when the mild uterine contraction start, which triggers the release of the oxytocin hormone from the maternal pituitary. The maternal pituitary which releases the oxytocin hormone, and the oxytocin hormone that act on the uterus, and this causes the uterine muscles, the stronger uterine contraction, which in turn stimulate the further secretion of the oxytocin. When the uterine contraction occurs, again it stimulates the pituitary and release of the oxytocin takes place, and that causes the stronger and the stronger contraction of the uterus. So this contraction that helps in the release of the expulsion of the baby from the mother's womb takes place. Okay, so this total process that is called as the neuroendocrine mechanism. So the very important, why the parturition is called as the neuroendocrine mechanism? Because the parturition that originate the signal that originate from the fetus and the placenta that causes the mild uterine contraction, and the mild uterine contraction that triggers the release of the oxytocin from the pituitary, and the uterine contraction, further uterine contraction that causes the release of the oxytocin from the maternal pituitary, that causes the expulsion of the baby from the mother's womb. So this process is called as the parturition. The stimulatory reflex between the uterine contraction and the oxytocin secretion continues, resulting in the stronger and the stronger contraction. This leads to the expulsion of the baby out of the uterus or the mother's womb through the birth canal, that is called as the parturition. That total process is called as the parturition. Soon after the infant is delivered, the placenta is also expelled out of the uterus. When the after the infant delivery, the placenta also expelled from the uterus. So this is about the parturition. Then what is this lactation? Yes, this is the parturition process, initial phase, and the release of the baby from the uterus. Then what is lactation? The mammary glands of the female undergo the differentiation during the pregnancy. You know that mammary glands, they are connected to the female reproductive system, right? So which undergo the differentiation during the pregnancy and start producing the milk towards the end of the pregnancy. So that process is called as the lactation. Means the mammary glands which undergo the differentiation throughout the pregnancy and which is able to produce the milk by the end of the pregnancy, by the end of the 9th month, that is called as the lactation. So what is the use of this milk? So this milk that helps in the feeding the newborn. So that is the nutrition or the that helps in the nourishment of the newborn baby. The milk produced during the initial few days of the lactation called colostrum. So what is this colostrum, which contains the several antibodies? So that is absolutely essential to develop the resistance for the newborn babies. So the milk that is called as the colostrum, because it contains the antibodies, and that milk that helps to develop the resistance against the some diseases, and that help the newborn babies to fight against the diseases, and the antibodies are present in that colostrum. Okay, so the mother milk is very important for the newborn baby because it contains the antibodies that provide the resistance against the diseases to the newborn baby. Yes, this is about the lactation. Thank you.